Hello, welcome to Board Deck and Dice. Today we're doing a review of Hero Realms from White Wizard Games. Let's see how it plays and come back and talk about it.
Hero Realms is a deck building game that is very similar to Star Realms. You start with a generic weak hand of cards and use these to build up a more powerful hand, hopefully jettisoning some of the weak cards along the way. Although this is mainly one-on-one, there are a number of variety of modes to accommodate more players. One of the cool things about Hero Realms is the unique starting decks that heroes bring. You can also play as or against bosses. You can have boss versus boss or a boss versus many heroes. In a standard game, players start with 50 health and fight to the death. Similar to Star Realms, there are different factions and powers that activate if you play cards of the same factions. Champions are like the bases and stay in front of a player until they are defeated.
So, in some ways, Hero Realms is exactly the same as Star Realms. In other ways, it isn't. Similarly to when Star Realms got the Colony Wars expansion, everything feels a bit more hyped up. So you're going to be getting cards that are quite powerful quite early on. The damage and money you get back from cards seems to be a little bit higher than it was in the base Star Realm game. Obviously this is themed with fantasy, so there is that difference as well. But what really makes the difference here is the add-ons, the boss packs, the hero packs, and I believe there's some campaign packs you can get as well. The boss packs you can play as a one versus many. One player takes the boss deck and that has its own instructions. For example, the dragon has a horde deck, and when he plays a horde card from his hand, he can turn that over and he gets this extra effect every go, but the players can steal that if they wish to. The Lich King, is it Lich King or the Lich or whatever, or the Lich, has his health works really interestingly. It kind of has three separate healths that you have to burn through, but you never quite know what effect they're going to give the Lich King. So it's really interesting. The characters, especially, I recommend if you're doing the one versus many, get those characters involved as well and get a bit of difference to all your play. And because each of the extra add-ons come with their own unique starter deck. So yeah, there's some gold in there and some similar cards that you'll start with in the main game. But it's the different cards where a lot of the fun is. And they have their own ability cards as well. And everything's explained on the cards. If you've played Star Realms or any kind of two-player deck builder, you're going to be fine. Now I would say it is mainly a two-player deck builder, but there is, as in Star Realms, some included modes of play there if you want to play with more players, and I think in the main box there's actually enough to do that. There is enough starting hands for players, so out of the box you can do that, which you couldn't do in Star Realms without another core box. So it is set up more that way. I've only played two players because I'm like that with deck building games. The boss match we played was fun. We did a boss versus boss. It was phenomenal. We were taking just sheer amounts of damage off people. So I was the dragon, I was hitting my opponent for 30 and 40 every time, yet his power allowed him to take out these minions and put them in front of them. The bases from Star Realms have changed to champions, and there's normal champions who don't act as a kind of tank, and there's guards who have to be attacked first, and he's put out loads of these, and I was trying to get rid of them with special powers first, and it was just epic. I had 150 health at the start. It was brilliant. It does take a bit longer than your standard two-player deck building game, but I really enjoyed it. So the question is, should you buy Hero Realms or Star Realms? I would say if you're going to stick with the core box, then it depends on a couple of things. Theme, do you prefer space or fantasy? And do you want to have the option to play 4 players out of the box? If you want to play 4 players out of the box, Hero Realms core box is the one to go for. If you prefer the fantasy theme, Hero Realms. If you prefer the space theme, Star Realms. So, intimidation factor. Depends if you've played Star Realms. If you're familiar with deck builders, there is some new things going on here, like the factions often trigger off other abilities on the other factions. The whole system's been neatened up a little bit, so you're tapping cards to know that you've used them if they're permanently in front of you. and other little things like that. So I think it is a little smoother in Hero Realms, but I still have that Star Realms itch. Rulebook is fine. I find it a little bit hard to find one word, which was stun. I didn't know whether stun kind of tapped your hero or sent them back to the deck, because a tapped hero doesn't defend. But as far as we found, there wasn't any powers that let you expend someone else's hero. That would have been quite neat, because then you could have just attacked straight through. So intimidation factor, easy to mid. Fun, I had a heck of a lot of fun with this one. I really did. Would I add it to my collection? I'm a big deck builder fan, and this is a deck builder in a small box that adds tons of variability from these other leader and boss kits, and I believe there's more that I haven't even tried. So yeah, I would add this to my shelf. I would play it at almost any opportunity, even the vanilla box. It's just an easy one to play, and I would recommend it to people. I think Star Realms was fantastic, got my friend into deck building games as well, and I think this carries on the tradition, and it is continued to be supported through these extra packs. So that is Hero Realms. Thanks very much for watching. Board, Deck and Dice. We will see you next time.